Good morning, everyone. So today's lecture is on replication and synthetic derivative model is the put-call parity model, which you will learn later in this lecture. Okay, so these are some of the important highlights. So as a completion of this lecture, students should have a good understanding of the put-call parity relationship. So I will explain what is a put-call parity model later in this lecture. Okay, it is a very interesting model, as interesting as what we've learned, like the Black-Scholes option pricing model or the binomial option pricing model, and so on. As a result of this lecture as well, you should be able to understand the significance of why equilibrium relationships in derivative trading, okay? Why is it must hold, and how arbitrage is possible when there is any mispricing, in a particular equation or model, in that, in a particular equilibrium, So if you have mispricing, then actually there is a disequilibrium. So that is, that means there isn't any equilibrium. You have a disequilibrium. But what I'm trying to say is that, when this kind of thing happen, then there is a profit-making opportunity, which is basically riskless. Okay, so later I will explain more to you regarding this so-called arbitrage opportunities. Okay, when you have a mispricing in the like for example the put-call parity model and so on. So now the first thing that you need to understand, okay, is that options can be used to replicate, the cash flow of an asset, and as a result, okay, you can create a synthetic asset. So there are 6 basic strategies. You have long stock, long call, long put, short stock, short call, short put. These are the 6 basic derivative trading strategies. What you can actually do, you can combine these derivative trading strategies, which will create a synthetic position on a particular asset, and the put call parity is one of the most, most or the best example to actually explain all these kind of things. Now, one must understand there are 2 assumptions, when you try to replicate and flow now and the option exercise price are totally ignored. So we do not consider the time value of money. Okay, that's one very important assumption in this assumption is that the underlying asset exercise price and maturity for the options that are used in the trading are basically the same. So that is a second assumption. So you must remember that these 2 assumptions are critically important when we are trying to replicate and creating synthetic assets in order, so that ultimately we have a cash flow equivalent. So these 2 assumptions apply, okay, for cash flow equivalence replication. So example here, you can create a synthetic long stock position. That means you can create an artificial. Synthetic means artificial. You can create an artificial long stock position. Long stock position means you buy the stock. Okay, so this artificial stock purchase position, you can replicate that, by long a call option and short a put option. That means when you long a call option and short a put option, this is equivalent to buying a stock. Okay, so you are replicating the stock purchase by using a derivative trading strategy of buying the call and selling the put option. And you can argue the other way by buying a call option and selling a put option. You are creating a a synthetic so-called stock, okay, synthetic long stock position. Okay, so this is what you mean by replication and synthetics. You're creating artificial position by using some other derivative trading strategy, So if you can look at the slide now, remember that the exercise price and time maturity are the same. It's just that the positions of the derivatives are different. So there are many examples here. Just now is the long, now is the synthetic long stock position. You can have a synthetic. Okay, so synthetic long stock position. You can have also synthetic short stock position. So, and how do you create a synthetic short stock position? By shorting the call option and long the put option, okay, with all the assumptions being undertaken. So now if you create coming to the previous one, the synthetic long stock position, if you look at the payoff diagram, the payoff graph, so is basically, the when basically when you buy a call and sell a put, right? So it's to buy a stock position where you have a straight line linear curve, going up. Similarly, if you create and look at the slides. Okay. Now, what is this synthetic long call position? This one basically is equivalent to buying a stock and buying a put option. So that means if you buy a stock, okay, and you buy a put option, okay, and the buying price of the stock is the same as the exercise price of the put option. So by doing that, this is equivalent to buying a call option. So that's why you call it a synthetic long call option. Okay. And then of course you can create a short call position. And so how do you do that? You sell a stock and you sell a put option. So you look at the diagram, it will show you the equivalent of the derivative trading strategy. Sorry, the equivalent of the trading strategy, the replication with the synthetic position. Okay, that payoff diagram shows this kind of the outcome. Okay, then you can create again, you sell the stock. The price of the stock is the same as the exercise price of the call option. Okay, then you can create a short put position. And how do you do that? You buy the stock and you sell the call option. Okay, again with the same underlying prices. So if you look at the payoff diagram, it is basically the outcome of the short stock and long call will be equivalent to long put, as well as the long stock and short call equivalent to short put. Okay, so the combined position is equivalent to long put as well as the short put position, respectively. You look at the diagram. So one must understand that you can combine all those 6 basic derivative trading strategy, or you mix it with the trading of the asset position, and then you can create a synthetic, synthetic position on the asset as well as on the derivative. Okay, that's what we have learned so far. And if you look at slide 17, that tells you all the combinations of what we have discussed so far. Now, so far we have discussed the cash flow equivalent of the derivative trading strategy and the synthetic asset position. We did not take into consideration the time value of money. Now, the thing here is, what if we do consider the time value of money? So, having said that, if you do consider the time value of money, then what we are doing here, we are creating pricing equivalent. It's no longer cash flow equivalent. Cash flow equivalent ignores time value of money, but pricing equivalent considers the time value of money. So if you go back to the cash flow equivalent, remember one of the examples of the combination of derivative trading strategy and the synthetic asset position is the put call parity model, right? So